This is the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show, a weekly broadcast that breaks down each Eagles game better than anyone else. The Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show is broadcasting live from the Great American Pub in Conshohocken and is heard on both 1490 WBCB and 107.3 FM and is brought to you by SEPTA, Fogo de Chão, the Great American Pub, Independence Blue Cross, and Grand Café L'Aquila. We now go live to the Great American Pub in Conshohocken for the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show. Now, here are your hosts, Paul Domowitch and Paul Jolovitz.
And welcome, everybody, to the season premiere of the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show. We'll be here every Monday night at the beautiful Great American Pub in Conshohocken, except for next week, Tuesday night, as Eagles play Monday. We'll talk about that later. I'm Paul Jolovitz, along with Paul Domowitch, as we get our legs stretched on a 1-0 win over the Packers in Brazil on Friday night. How you doing, Domo?
I'm doing well, Jolly. How about you?
I'm doing great. It's still warm outside, although it's cold in here. And the Eagles are 1-0, and that's a good thing. We wanted to start big. You don't start small in this world. We wanted to start big. We wanted somebody who's like a Hall of Famer type, who was inducted this year, who won the Pete Rozelle Award, who's been the Eagles play-by-play announcer on the radio for 48 years. He is the best in the business. He is the best ever. The Vince Scully of football, Mr. Merrill Reese. Merrill, how are you doing?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you. It's
good to have you here.
It's nice to be here, it really is.
Merrill, I've known you for a long time, a long time. I hold it dear to my heart that you're a very close friend, and you didn't think you were going to get in the Hall of Fame. You won the Pete Rozelle Award, which usually goes to national guys. I can't remember anybody local winning it before. What was that like when the phone call when you were driving, the whole thing? What was that like?
Well, it was incredible because I saw Canton, Ohio on the dashboard, and I wasn't even thinking Hall of Fame. All I thought was, I don't know anybody in Canton, Ohio. But I answered it, and it was the president of the Hall of Fame, and you know the rest. I was very, very emotional, to say the least. But of all the things I thought about in my life and in my career, that was never on a bucket list because it was unattainable. I thought, if I did this thing long enough, once I passed 100 years, that I had a shot at the Eagles Hall of Fame, which came to me in 2016. But this was out of the question, so when it came, it really hit me. But I have a feeling your partner, Mr. Domowitch here, had a little to do with it.
By the way, Domo, you know that when Merrill made the Eagles Hall of Fame, that was my debut in NFL play-by-play. Because Merrill was down on the field at halftime, and I stepped in and did the first kickoff for the second half before Merrill got back. I send that one play out now to everybody, and nobody seems to think it's worthy of anything. But
it hasn't carried on to bigger and better things, huh?
Not much, but what do you think?
Well, the reason was because Paul said it was out of the end zone, and instead it was a 75-yard return.
All right, let's start with that. Sometimes we like to go into weird ways. We'll talk about the Eagles, obviously, a lot about Merrill tonight. But there's something new. Merrill, you've been 48 years. There's very little that's totally new. With this dynamic, which isn't dynamic kickoff rule, I don't like it. I like the idea of it. I think the NFL had a good idea. But the touchback only coming out to the 30-yard line, guys, everybody's going to kick the ball out of the end zone all the time. We're not going to have any returns. I know we had a touchdown yesterday. I think they have to move the touchback line to at least the 40 for anybody not to kick the ball out of the end zone. What are your feelings on it, both of you?
I feel quite differently than you do.
Okay.
Because I actually think that if it's down in the end zone or it goes out of the end zone, it should come back to the 20. I think they're shortening the field too much. A couple of plays and they're in plus territory.
But they want the returns.
But they want the returns. Yeah. And that's why if they don't return it and it comes out to the 30, fine, we'll take that. If you want them to have to return it, tell them that it can only come out to the 20 with a touchback.
But then you kick the ball out of the end zone, Domo, don't you?
And it comes back to the 20.
Actually, I think what's going to end up happening, because at least from what we've seen in the first week games, the numbers still down.
Yeah.
The only way to force teams not to kick it into the end zone is to move, and this is probably what's going to happen. They're going to move it out to the 35 at some point. And then, that's a little too far. Teams are.
No, I say they have to go back, Paul. I say they have to bring it to the 20 if it's a touchback.
That wouldn't incentivize teams from not kicking it into the end zone.
Everything kicked out of the end zone.
Yes, it would, because if they kick it, if they put it into play and they make it returnable, a good special teams unit should be able to keep them, deep in their own territory.
By the way, why was
nobody's going to want to let it go by or take a knee if it gets them only to the 20?
One surprise about Friday night was Braden Mann kicking off. Why didn't Jay Kelly kick off?
I don't think it mattered. I don't think it mattered because all he wants to do is pop it into the end zone.
Yeah.
All right, Friday night, Merrill, Eagles beat the Packers 34-29, a game that had a lot of both good and bad. Nobody played in preseason. It was a little sloppy. Jalen made a couple bad decisions. Vic Fangio's defense was new. Saquon Barkley was great. Bryce Huff was not. Throw it all in the blender and tell me what you do in the play-by-play. Came out with top couple things about Friday night.
Well, number one, I think Vic Fangio's defense did a great job early in the game with a couple of turnovers to hold them to 6 points instead of 14.
Yep.
So that was a major factor in that game because then you had the touchdown pass to Saquon Barkley, and like that, the Eagles were in the lead. Mm-hmm. Secondly, I thought that Jalen Hurts did a lot of very, very good things. His passing was excellent. He did have a couple of ill-advised throws that ended up as picks. However, Jalen Hurts is a clutch player. He made big plays. His accuracy is tremendous. You couldn't have placed balls better than the passes he threw to Saquon Barkley and A.J. Brown. Those were tremendous strikes. And then he carved up the defense with quick slants to Devontae Smith. His passing, his accuracy, his arm strength, great. Teams are ready for him to run. They have worked all season planning right ways to take away what they call the +1. And let's face it, the Packers did a good job. But late in the game, when he put them on a 7.5-minute drive, there was a play where he ran to his left, and he was stopped a good 2 or 3 yards short of the first down, and he merely lowered his shoulder and carried them to a first down. It was a great play. He's a clutch player. And Nick Sirianni said something about him today in his press conference. He said, if he makes a bad play, it's out of his mind. He doesn't try to make up for it. He just goes on with the next thing. He is very, very cool. I think Jalen Hurts is going to have a tremendous season, and I think the combination of Hurts and Kellen Moore is really going to work.
I agree that, he made a lot of nice plays on that last 7-minute drive, the 2 slants to Devontae, who were terrific, and that run of his was amazing. I mean, that was him in a nutshell as a runner. I mean, he's basically a fullback. He's not like Lamar Jackson. And he carried a cornerback on his back for 5 yards.
Yeah.
But he's got to cut down on the mistakes that he made. I mean, he threw 2 interceptions. There were 2 others that he almost had. I mean, A.J. Brown saved him on one of them.
Yep.
But you know what, Paul? Part of that is a trade-off that you get when you do not put a player in any preseason action.
100%.
Because the game speed is so much different. Yeah. And so what they do is they gamble that they're still going to be able to be okay. So they won the game, and now they got away with not playing them in the preseason. So that worked. But you're right. He can't throw 20 interceptions.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Merrill and I have had many conversations about what's an interview and what's not an interview. We've talked about this, and Merrill's not a big fan of saying tell me about, but this isn't tell me about. I'm just going to mention a name and go stream of consciousness with both you guys. Quinyon Mitchell, Merrill.
Quinyon Mitchell is a veteran playing football like a veteran who is actually a rookie. He's a rookie performing like a veteran. He is cool. He is fundamentally very, very sound. He's their first draft pick, and he's playing like a first-round draft pick, and he's also going to end up with a bunch of interceptions.
Tom, what did you expect what you saw Friday?
Yeah, I mean, I liked him from the moment they drafted him, and he showed yesterday. He's going to be a terrific player. He made a couple of nice pass breakups. I think he played about 94% of the snaps.
Yep.
He's not intimidated. He's not afraid to get in anybody's grill.
No.
Well, there's a reason for that, Paul. When you draft somebody who's used to playing before 80,000 people at Toledo, he's going to have points.
There we are.
But yeah, I mean, he's going to be a terrific player, and then he's going to stay on the outside. That's where he belongs. But it's nice that they can move him around. From the standpoint of that secondary, the one guy that concerned me yesterday was Avonte Maddox.
Had a rough game.
He did not play particularly well, and I think as Cooper DeJean gets more comfortable and learns the slot.
You just gave it the French pronunciation, but it actually is pronounced as spelled Cooper DeJean.
Yeah.
Now, wait a second. I've been in the booth for 20 years with Merrill Reese, and tell everybody, Merrill, what you do a half an hour before every game, because there are people named Cooper DeJean and Alistikopoulos, Quadriakis, and others around the NFL. You have a work ethic. Part of the reason you're in the Hall of Fame is pronunciation and just the work ethic.
Well, I don't think it has anything to do with the pronunciation.
But tell me what you do with the other team's PR guy, because it's next level stuff.
Well, it's not so much the PR guy. Most of the time when you get the media guides or you get even on the flip card, it has pronunciations. So I go over them so I could say Tadalatasi or Siamalo or whomever I have to.
I went through half of my life with people pronouncing my name Domowitch. So I'm
Me too.
I'm used to, and he'll get used to it too.
It got easy when everyone started calling you Damo.
That's right. Made it easier though.
Damo, Saquon Barkley had a little nice debut. T.O. had 3 touchdowns. Saquon had 3 receiving, running the ball. The touchdown that impressed me the most, by the way, was the play where he had a 9-yard hole to run through, something I could have run through, but he showed amazing burst.
Oh, yeah.
I love that burst. That's the difference between an average running back and a good running back. How do you feel about
Well, it
that?
wasn't just the burst. It was the move he put on the linebacker, who came in unblocked. And, I mean, 9 out of 10 running backs are going to get tackled there. He never got touched. He just put his leg in the ground, went right past him, and scored an easy touchdown.
You know, guys, I was happy when I heard that the Eagles signed Saquon Barkley, and I thought he would do well for them. But I figured that after 5 years playing behind the Giants' offensive line, that he wasn't going to be quite as quick as he was when he came out of Penn State because he's had numerous
100%.
injuries. Well, he is. He is blindingly fast. He can knock over 5 guys at one time, and he's got great hands and he can block.
Did you see what Micah Parsons tweeted about him during the game? Like, what did he say about how could the Giants let him go? It was pretty funny, whatever it was. But how do the Giants that's why the Giants are the Giants, right? On the other hand, guys, week 1, again, nobody played in the preseason. A couple guys didn't really show their best.
I heard someone today with a good line on the NFL Network, and he said, week 1 is a liar. And in many cases, that's true, because there will be 5 teams in the playoffs that lost yesterday.
Sure.
You know, and there'll be 5 teams of more than won yesterday that won't be in the playoffs.
Tom, one of them won't be Carolina, will they?
No. You know, I'm not a big gambler. But if I had been and was, I would never bet on a week 1 game because you
can't.
They're just totally unpredictable. Week 2, week 3, you kind of have a feel for a true sense of a team, and that's when you're better.
That's why if you were to go by yesterday, you figure the Eagles are going to have a cakewalk next Monday night against Atlanta. Atlanta's going to come here, and it's going to be a tough game. And you know what's crazy about this? This will be the 3rd straight Monday night opener, home opener, that the Eagles have played against Kirk Cousins.
Yeah. Wow. Kirk Cousins, Minnesota, Atlanta, right, coming in. And you and I, Merrill, we disagree about a lot of things, but we share the opinion that Kirk Cousins' backup was the best quarterback in college last year, was the best pick in the first round by anybody, and is going to be a very good quarterback whenever Kirk Cousins decides to do knitting.
Well, that's it. That's Michael Penix Jr.
Yeah.
And he's he's the best deep passer in the draft.
Yeah.
You like Michael Penix, Tom? I mean, we had a lot of quarterbacks debut yesterday to different results. I think Penix, when he plays, is the best of all of them. So does Merrill.
Yeah, I like him a lot. I was kind of surprised that he didn't end up being their opening day starter. I thought, but I mean, paying Cousins
a lot of money.
A lot of money.
But the other thing is, when you look at these young quarterbacks coming in, the Vikings drafted not the quarterback they thought was the best in the NFL, in the college crop, but they drafted the one who was supposed to be the most NFL ready, that you could plug him in and he'll be a starter in the first year.
Then he got hurt.
And that was J.J. McCarthy, and he's out for the season. Did you know, I read this, that J.J. McCarthy will be the first-round quarterback drafted ever who didn't play one snap in his rookie year?
Nobody's ever gotten hurt in preseason before?
Never. Not to that point.
Very interesting.
I
Did
would
not
have
know
thought
that.
back in the day there would have been a few of them when teams used to typically, have a guy sit on the bench for a while.
Well, maybe it's said in the history of the modern draft, but whatever.
Maybe. All right, well, there's a lot of history, a lot of stuff to talk about. We'll go around the league, talk more Eagles. There was part of the Eagles game yesterday, or Friday, that really wasn't there. We're going to talk with Merrill and then Domo about that when we come back on the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show right after this. Stay with us, folks.
Since 1991, the Great American Pub in Conshohocken has been offering an authentic and memorable experience for guests looking to dine in or enjoy the bar and nightlife. Located at 123 Fayette Street in Conshohocken, the Great American Pub has all your craft beer selections and some of the best food options anywhere. While you're there trying their buffalo chicken spring rolls or Maryland crab cakes, enjoy your favorite sporting events on their numerous televisions surrounding the bar. Visit them at 123 Fayette Street in Conshohocken or learn more online at thegreatamericanpub.com. A truly unique dining experience awaits you at Fogo de Chão. Fogo de Chão All's patrons, with their history and tradition of authentic Brazilian steakhouse, offering many cuts of decadent fire-roasted meats prepared over an open fire and served tableside by trained gaucho chefs. Fogo de Chão, 1337 Chestnut Street in Center City, Philadelphia. For reservations, go to www.fogo.com or call 215-636-9700.
At Independence Blue Cross, we take care of the people who take care of you. Everyday heroes like firefighters, police officers, teachers, farmers, and healthcare workers. Doctors and hospitals across the region have IBX, and they know what it means to have reliable access to care. So whether you're saving lives or just trying to live a healthier life, count on IBX, the region's #1 health insurer for 85 years. Learn more at IBX.com.
Since 1991, the Great American Pub in Conshohocken has been offering an authentic and memorable experience for guests looking to dine in or enjoy the bar and nightlife. Located at 123 Fayette Street in Conshohocken, the Great American Pub has all your craft beer selections and some of the best food options anywhere. While you're there trying their buffalo chicken spring rolls or Maryland crab cakes, enjoy your favorite sporting events on their numerous televisions surrounding the bar. Visit them at 123 Fayette Street in Conshohocken or learn more online at thegreatamericanpub.com.
We now return to the Great American Pub in Conshohocken for the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show. Once again, here are your hosts, Paul Domowitch and Paul Jolovitz.
Welcome back to the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show, live from the Great American Pub in Conshohocken. Don't forget, you can watch the show live at WBCBSports.com and YouTube live by searching WBCB Sports. Paul Jolovitz, Paul Domowitch, Merrill Reese is our guest. We're thrilled to have him. Opening game, Eagles are 1-0, and certain things go right, certain things go wrong. One of the things that didn't go right, Merrill, which obviously has many, many levels to improve upon with a new coordinator, about 7, 8 new guys on defense. We can talk about Zach Baum and everything that went right with him and Quinyon Mitchell, but the pass rush was not there. That worry you at all?
Well, not after game one. Nothing really upsets me after game one. I said to you before, I think the absence of real game action will show. I think the pass rush has got to be better than it was, but I think it will be. Jordan Davis was pretty good, Domo, wasn't he?
Are you serious?
What? He made a tackle?
It's not on the. I didn't see it on the chart. No,
Yeah, he did make one early.
Stuffed around.
I don't know what's going on there. I mean, I felt going into this year that for this team to be a Super Bowl team, Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter had to be Pro Bowl players. Jalen Carter is off to a good start in doing that. Jordan Davis was invisible. I mean, he did said all the right things during the off season and this summer about losing weight, being in shape, what he needed to do. And he goes out there yesterday, and I didn't see anything.
Yeah,
I mean, he was invisible.
A lot of, the three Georgia guys, Jordan Davis, I've been on him for 2 years.
Yeah.
You got to do better than that. Nolan Smith, same thing, didn't do anything in game one. We'll give him some time.
I thought N'Kobe Dean
it was
had a couple of good plays.
Terrific.
One thing that's, it might help him out a little bit here is because of Dean's progress, when they get Devin White back, they can use Zach Bond in two different ways. They can use him as an off-ball linebacker.
Are they going to get Devin White back?
Yeah, that to me is interesting.
Well, I don't know what's going on there. Do you have an idea?
I don't, except that what surprised me, and I'm not speaking with any knowledge from the front office, but what surprised me that he wasn't on the trip.
Yeah, all I could think was, my first thing was to think negatively.
There have been rumors. There have been rumors that they're trying to trade him.
Yeah. The other thing was, I thought, it's a 9-hour plane ride. Probably not the best thing for a guy with a bad ankle.
Perhaps.
But I don't know. It seemed to come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Devin White in college, I loved at LSU. Loved him his first couple of years. I don't know what happened to him, but N'Kobe Dean apparently beat him out, and we'll see as the weeks go on.
That's what they are saying, that the Kobe Dean, even if there were no injury, Kobe Dean would still be the starter.
Yeah, and Jeremiah Trotter is starting. He had a good summer.
He
didn't play a snap, did he?
He really did.
No, he may. I guess
on
special teams.
Yeah,
that's probably how he's going to earn his keep this year, unless somebody gets hurt. But he's proven that he can. It's not too big for him if he has to go out there and play some defensive snaps.
All right, guys, we talked about Vic Fangio. We talked about Jalen Hurts. The other new is Kellen Moore, who I like, who did well in Dallas, well in San Diego and L.A. And I thought did a good job on Friday night, and I like his system. I like his demeanor. Merrill, have you gotten to know Kellen Moore at all?
A little bit. You don't get to really know any coach during the summer, but you see them at their press conferences from afar, and you get a chance to say hello, but you don't really get to know them well. But I got to know what Kellen Moore can do when I watched him in Dallas and when I watched him with the Chargers. I think he is one of the brightest young coaches in football, and I say this without any inside knowledge, that I think he will be, if the Eagles do well offensively, which I think they will, I think he will be one of the leading candidates for a head coaching job next year.
Two things that struck me Friday night. One is if you look at Jalen's numbers, when they used motion, which, that's the big difference that's been mentioned often this summer about having Kellen Moore as opposed to Nick's offense. When they used motion, his numbers were phenomenal. Most of the time he struggled, including the 2 interceptions, were when they did not use motion. Mm-hmm. The other thing which I was impressed by and I think is going to be very successful this season is, and they only used it 4 times on Friday night, but 3 times in a row on one drive, 2 backs. They went with 2 backs.
Yeah, they did.
Put one in motion. Shipley, they used him in motion a lot.
Yep.
One of the big throws to Devontae Smith came on a play where they had Shipley going in motion to that side and forced the coverage to pay attention to him, and Smith kind of got open. So I like Kellen. I like what the changes he's making here, and I think this offense is going to thrive under him.
I think they'll thrive under him, and it's going to be fun offense to watch. One guy we haven't talked about as we've kind of rolled through the team here, Dick Butkus unfortunately passed away earlier this year. One of the great linebackers in history. I didn't realize, Merrill, that he had changed his name after he died to Zach Baum. Was just tremendous on Friday night, huh?
Well, he's not exactly Dick Butkus-like, but he did play great football. Yeah. He diagnosed well, he moved well, and he showed plenty of strength.
Yeah, big sack at the end of the game.
If he continues to play like this, and that's a big if, because, he played really well. This is looking like, like Howie has hit the jackpot that nobody seemed to recognize.
No, he has.
Nobody even thought he could be an off-ball linebacker.
Yeah. No.
Damo, your partner is a great trivia person. I have to ask him a question because he contends that he knows everything.
And he doesn't?
What record does Kellen Moore hold?
He is the only Boise State quarterback ever to be named Kellen.
Nope.
What kind of record? Give me a little.
A record.
NFL or college?
A record.
I'm sure he holds a million passing records at Boise State.
A record in college. A college record.
Most touchdown passes in a career.
How about he is the winningest college quarterback of all time?
In games won, right? Started 4 years.
He is the winningest college quarterback of all time. He has won more. He is 50-3.
Wow.
No college quarterback has ever won 50 games.
Who was his college coach, Domo?
Oh, man. I'm bad at names.
Chris Peterson.
That's right.
Boise State, the blue field,
Yep.
was tremendous.
No, they were really good when Kellen was their quarterback.
Sure was.
50-3.
Wow.
50-3 is pretty good. They had that Fiesta Bowl and
Was he there?
Statue of Liberty play.
You remember who was the running back from Boise that proposed to the
Johnson.
cheerleader? Yeah, wasn't he his teammate? Were they there together?
Yeah.
Who was the last Eagle to come from Boise State?
Player? Quentin Michael?
I was going to say, not including Brian Johnson.
Quentin Michael.
Yep.
No, he was from Utah State.
Yep.
Utah.
Was he?
Yeah, he was Utah.
Yeah.
Oh, Brian Johnson.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, Merrill, you've been doing this a long time, 48 years, and we could talk so much about so much.
Wow.
When you were 20-some years old and you got this job and legendary how you got it and everything, if I told you 48 years from now you can be doing the same thing in the Hall of Fame and a legend in a legendary football town, you would have said what?
Absolutely.
There we go.
Are you kidding?
Tell the story. This is one of my favorite Merrill stories.
Okay.
When I did a feature on him before the Super Bowl in 2018, he told it to me for the first time about the guy. What station was it?
It was WIP. WIP.
Told you to get into another business that you didn't have the voice for this?
No. That was another story. Where I went into I was at WBCB, and I had been there for a couple of years, and it was time to try to get into the city, and I was very discouraged, and I found out that they were giving auditions at KYW Radio, and I went in and I auditioned for a newscaster job. And I put together the wire copy, and I typed it up, and I recorded it, and I felt good because I didn't miss one word. And the news director calls me in. His name was Reggie Late, and he said, "I'm going to do you a favor." And I think, wow, I'm getting a job at a 50,000-watt station. And he said, "I'm going to tell you that you're not the sound we're looking for, and you will never work in a major market station. So I'm going to tell you to get another career, find another field."
You should have done him a favor and punched him in the nose.
Well, no, I was crushed. I went home, I was crushed. My mom said, "Come down for dinner." I said, "I don't want any dinner." She said, "Why?" And I told her the story, and my loving mother said, "He's right." And I said, "What do you mean he's right?" She said, "It's my fault. I raised a weakling. If you're going to listen to what one person says to you and be ready to jump off a building, you can stay up here for the rest of your life." And I went back the next day, and within 6 months, I was in the city at WWDB, and within 6 months, Reggie Late was fired.
Tom, will anybody ever tell you couldn't write?
Oh, plenty of people still do. Yeah.
Still do?
Yeah.
I don't think that's ever going to happen. We all have a first
you know what story I thought you were going to ask me about? When Angelo Cataldi, before he came into WIP full-time, he was part of a show of Inquirer writers called the Morning Sports Page.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it was Angelo, and it was Al, and it was
Jason Stark, I think.
They all took turns.
And Mac now.
So Glenn they were all part of it, and so was the sports editor. So they came in one morning, and I'm driving into the station, and I hear Angelo's doing something on a Monday morning, asking people, he's going to have a contest, who can do the best Merrill Reese impersonation.
It's a great story.
So I walk into the newsroom, and I pick up the phone, and I told the producer, "This is Joe from Upper Darby." And Angelo says, "All right, let me hear it." So without putting anything on, I said, "2nd and 10, the backs are in the eye, out to the and I do the thing. I finished third.
Not bad. Third.
I finished the guy who won was someone who came on and said, "2nd and 10 on the back." He really overdoes it. But it was funny.
There's plenty of great Merrill Reese stories. When we come back, I'm not going to tell you a story. I'm going to tell you about a way of life that Merrill espouses. The one thing I'm most impressed with about Merrill Reese, I worked in the booth with him for about 20 years, and there's one thing that sets Merrill apart from everybody that ever lived in this business, in my opinion.
He trips down 4 steps and then lands on his backside and then gets up and does a game.
Could have been. More with Damo, myself, Merrill Reese. We are at the Great American Pub in Conshohocken. It's a great place, great food. You'll love it. Come here one of these weeks and see us. We're back right after this.
Since 1991, the Great American Pub in Conshohocken has been offering an authentic and memorable experience for guests looking to dine in or enjoy the bar and nightlife. Located at 123 Fayette Street in Conshohocken, the Great American Pub has all your craft beer selections and some of the best food options anywhere. While you're there trying their buffalo chicken spring rolls or Maryland crab cakes, enjoy your favorite sporting events on their numerous televisions surrounding the bar. Visit them at 123 Fayette Street in Conshohocken or learn more online at thegreatamericanpub.com. A truly unique dining experience awaits you at Fogo de Chão. Fogo de Chão awes patrons with their history and tradition of authentic Brazilian steakhouse, offering many cuts of decadent fire-roasted meats prepared over an open fire and served tableside by trained gaucho chefs. Fogo de Chão, 1337 Chestnut Street in Center City, Philadelphia. For reservations, go to www.fogo.com or call 215-636-9700.
At Independence Blue Cross, we take care of the people who take care of you. Everyday heroes like firefighters, police officers, teachers, farmers, and healthcare workers. Doctors and hospitals across the region have IBX, and they know what it means to have reliable access to care. So whether you're saving lives or just trying to live a healthier life, count on IBX, the region's #1 health insurer for 85 years. Learn more at IBX.com.
Since 1991, the Great American Pub in Conshohocken has been offering an authentic and memorable experience for guests looking to dine in or enjoy the bar and nightlife. Located at 123 Fayette Street in Conshohocken, the Great American Pub has all your craft beer selections and some of the best food options anywhere. While you're there trying their buffalo chicken spring rolls or Maryland crab cakes, enjoy your favorite sporting events on their numerous televisions surrounding the bar. Visit them at 123 Fayette Street in Conshohocken or learn more online at thegreatamericanpub.com.
We now return to the Great American Pub in Conshohocken for the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show. Once again, here are your hosts, Paul Domowitch and Paul Jolovitz.
Back at the Great American Pub in Conshohocken, we thank Chuck Hemsher, the owner, Jerry McGee, the manager, and Chef Guy Clausen, and others. It's a great place that we enjoy doing the show every week. We have Paul Domowitch every week, Merrill Reese, our guest today. We're going to talk about Jason Kelsey in a second, who was missing and cleared by his absence. But Merrill, working with you, if somebody walked into our booth, or the radio booth, before a game, a half hour before a game, and there were blinds around, you couldn't tell by the atmosphere. They couldn't tell if it was the third preseason game of the year. We had to memorize 900 people's names that are never going to play in the NFL or the Super Bowl. And that says about you that you have enthusiasm for every game. You can't tell the difference. How hard is that? Is it self-driven? And how long has that been the case for?
Well, I'm nervous before every game. As you know, Cindy makes me a stack of pancakes because I can't look at food until the game is over.
Never eat before a game.
But I am more nervous, more challenged by a preseason game when you have a 90-man roster and you know that in the fourth quarter, most of them are known only to their mothers. And do you have I have a thing where if someone says to me, you really make a game exciting, I think to myself, I hope not, because it is never my intention to make a game exciting. Yeah. It is my intention to transmit the excitement that is prevalent in a game. But I do have an obligation to keep a broadcast interesting. So if you get into the fourth quarter and one team's up by 30 points and nobody knows anybody on the field, I have a whole list of topics written in a margin that I can bring up and speak with my good friend and wonderful color partner, Mike Quick, about.
I was just going to ask you about Mike, because he's been here 26 years.
He's great.
Phenomenal. He's been our guest a few times, hopefully later this year. he really is somebody that you expected nothing from, who's turned into a brother for life, hasn't he?
Well, you can't tell me that I expected nothing from him because in the first place, I knew Mike as a friend. And Paul will tell you, when the Eagles played and Mike was a player, he was one of the easiest guys, win or lose, to go over to and speak intelligently with after a game. He didn't pout. He didn't throw a fit. He didn't hide in his locker. He was very, very open and honest. So I had a feeling, and when we called him and I said to him, Mike, would you consider being the Eagles color analyst? And he said to me, what, are you crazy? And I said, no, Mike.
I didn't mean nothing. I mean, he didn't have enthusiasm at the start.
Well, at the start of the broadcast, when he first came in, he felt his way. I said, don't say anything unless you have something relevant to say. And then when you do, tap me on the knee, and I'll tap you back when to come in. So we're feeling our way around. It's like you can't really judge Tom Brady yet. As much football as he's played and as high as he's reached, they call him the GOAT. Right. It was his first game in a broadcast booth. Now you look at Tony Romo. Tony Romo's a loose cannon, and Tony Romo's a big personality, kind of a character. So that personality is going to come out right away. Another guy who is great and picked it up pretty quickly, I think, is Greg Olson. He is analytical. He's really, really good. And in the college games, I think that Herb Street is good, although he's working Thursday nights with Al Michaels. And I also think that Joel Klatt, who works with Gus Johnson, is a terrific analyst. But you have to give Tom Brady time to see what he is all about and how critical he can be, the different kinds of information he can impart. But you can't judge him the same way you can't really judge any of these 32 teams based on one game. I thought for one game, he was poised, and he was absolutely okay.
Did he play Domo? I remember him in Michigan, and now he's in a TV booth. What do you do in between?
You know, I remember some of my first articles after I got out of college, and I look at them now and cringe. Clearly, I got better. I mean, people probably don't want to believe that, but I was curious. When you look back on your first couple of play-by-play performances in the booth, I mean, what do you think about?
Well, Paul, to be honest with you, they weren't bad, and the reason was because they weren't my first play-by-plays. So I went to Temple, and by my sophomore year, I was sports director of the student station. And I did all the football, basketball, and baseball games. And then along the way, once I got into the city to WWDB, I did 2 years of Penn football, play-by-play. So when I was thrown into the booth the first time with 2 games to go in the 77 season, I was nervous, but I was experienced. Experienced enough to do a satisfactory job, and then been hired after a lot of auditioning and things going my way. That the following spring I was hired, and then, but here's the difference. Here's the big difference. I say things now that I would never have said then, because I think I have credibility, and I have enough credibility that nobody's going to say, fire him, he said this about the Eagles. I'm honest. I have the highest respect for Eagles fans. I think they're knowledgeable. They love the team, but they are knowledgeable. And many of the times when I'm critical of the team, and I can be, but I'm never out to take, I'll never say, get this guy off the field. I'll never say, fire this coach, or I'll never blame anything on the front office. I know where to stop, but I will say he should have caught that ball. And that player, if he's honest with himself, will say, I should have caught that ball. I will second guess a coach. I second guessed Andy when he called a timeout to decide whether to go for it or punt, decides to punt, brings the punter in, and then calls another timeout. That, to me, did not seem like good coaching. And I said it at the time. And I will say the same thing with...
Did Andy say anything to you?
No, he didn't. He really didn't.
That's the credibility you build up after as long as you've done it, Merrill. I mean, you 48 years. On the field, we have a guy that was here for 13 who retired and is now everywhere and doing everything, and probably the richest man in the world other than Elon Musk, and that's Jason Kelsey. Meanwhile, the center job left to Cam Jurgens. The offensive line Mekhi Becton and Jeff Stoutland is the conductor giving it all. They looked pretty good the other night. One play that's in Eagles lore after a couple of years, the tush push, didn't seem to work as well. It seemed like Jason may have been the linchpin for that whole thing, you think?
Yeah, he was. And I think it'll get better. But they were 1 for 3, I think, with it Friday night, including the one that Jalen fumbled. But I mean, the guards are a part of that too, and Becton's new to the whole process.
Becton, by the way, was to me the biggest question mark on the offensive line, and he played very well.
He never played a down at guard before that game.
No.
Yeah.
Ever.
No, he played. Nick praised him today.
I mean, I was skeptical. I just because of the fact that he's 6'7", I really wasn't sure whether a 6'7" interior lineman was the way to go. So far, so good.
So far, so good is correct. We're here with Merrill Reese, Paul Domowitch, the Great American Pub in Conshohocken. Great is part of the Great American Pub. Greatest is part of the lore of a play-by-play guy, Merrill. You've done a lot of great games, a lot of great players. What's your number one moment ever as an Eagle broadcaster?
The moment that the pass was incomplete on February the 4th, 2018, and I realized that this team had won the Super Bowl. That was the moment. And Paul interviewed me the week before, and one of the things Paul asked me was, if the Eagles should win the Super Bowl, will you have something prepared?
Do you believe in miracles?
Because your words are going to last forever.
Reverberate.
And I said to him, no. Because I really want to let it come from my heart. And I have confidence that it will, if that happens. Yeah. And then we went into the game. Now, there's something behind that. For years, when I would appear on the morning show, Angelo Cataldi would say to me, Merrill, I really want them to win a Super Bowl for you because you've been doing these games so many years. And I would say this to Angelo, and I was not being disingenuous. I said to Angelo, you know what? Don't worry about me. Yeah. I've called miracles in the Meadowlands. I've called great games. I sit up there in the broadcast booth. I love every second of it. I want them to win for these fans, some of whom take out second mortgages to buy season tickets. I want them to win for these fans, some of them who spend their last dollars to buy their kids Eagles jerseys for Christmas. That's who I want it for. So when that pass was dropped, and right before the pass, Paul, I was scared to death. Yeah. And I wasn't scared of the Eagles losing. I was scared of blowing the call because we were seated in the far corner of the end zone. Yep. So that play was going to culminate 110 yards from where I was sitting. So, but inexplicably, as Brady stumbled and loaded up and let go of the ball, I can't tell you why, but the whole thing slows down. It was like one of those NFL slow-motion films. And I followed it, and I saw Rodney McLeod tip it, and I saw it tumble to the ground. And at that point, I could say, and I looked up at the clock, the pass is incomplete, the game is over, the Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions, Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you, let the celebration begin. And that's what came out. That's what came out.
And that's what makes immortal broadcasters immortal, Domo, isn't it? The spontaneity of it all. Do you believe in miracles? Yeah. Merrill's call, stuff like that, right?
Absolutely.
All right, Merrill.
Here's a funny story. Sure. I'm sitting at home on a Sunday. The week before I was going to Canton, we left on a Thursday. And the phone rings, and I don't recognize the number. And I answer the phone, and I said, hi. And on the other end of the phone, it says, hey, Merrill, it's Al Michaels. And he said, I want to congratulate you. We talked for about a half hour. And he says, Merrill, he said, you have really made some great calls. I said, yeah. I said, but I wasn't the one who said, do you believe in miracles? And Al says, yeah, we've been dining on that one for a lot of years.
Yeah. And you talk about that, Merrill, Al Michaels and everybody around and all the other radio voices and TV voices have given you compliments, and you guys are kind of a fraternity. One of your best buddies, I guess, I don't know your best buddies, but very good friend.
Well, he is Jim Nance.
No, not Jim Nance, who was obviously a very good friend, but the guy who got is the Dallas Cowboy broadcaster, Brad Sham.
Brad Sham's a
lot
great
of people
guy.
think you guys are mortal enemies, but you're very good friends.
No, we're good friends.
Yeah.
In fact, one season, we had a Sunday 4 o'clock game, and they came in Saturday night, and we sent a limo to pick up Brad and their entire crew and bring them to the house, and Cindy had a dinner for them.
And Cindy
we all had dinner.
Last fall, I had this short-lived podcast that lasted about 2 months, and I was fortunate enough to have Merrill and Brad on
Together.
and it was one of the greatest experiences
Well, you know
of
what?
my career.
I'll tell you what one of my best experiences was, and it goes way back to 1981. And it was during the playoffs. The Eagles had the Cowboys in the NFC Championship game.
January 11th.
And now, at that time, WIP was owned by a company called Metro Media, which also owned KRLD in Dallas. So we set up a simulcast so that Friday night, the game was on a Saturday, the Cowboys, Brad Sham came to WIP, and we sat across from each other in a studio, and we had a program called A Tale of Two Cities.
Yeah.
And we take one call from Dallas and one call from Philadelphia.
Nice.
And that was how Brad and I became friends.
I don't think it's going to be very long before Brad joins you in the Hall of Fame.
Well, he deserves it.
He
deserves it. He really does.
I think the Hall of Fame understands now that this needs to be an award that goes a lot more often to team broadcasters than.
You know, I just want to say there was one guy who I believe deserved to go in before I did. And I was fortunate to go in, and I'm not complaining. But that guy did the New England Patriots for years and years and years, and his name was Gil Santos. And he was a wonderful announcer, and he retired several years ago, and then he passed away a couple of years after that. But Gil Santos posthumously deserves to go into the Hall of Fame.
And Merrill did, and we're with him. And
not posthumously, I might add.
True. Merrill's here, alive and well.
A lot more years left.
I hope so.
Got Monday Night Football tonight, which Hassan Reddick will not be attending. Eagles play next Monday
he's
night.
going. Hassan told me he has tickets for the game.
Does he?
No.
He was going to get paid $800,000.
You know what I can't understand?
What?
Paul, do you know Hassan Reddick?
Not very well, no.
Did you get to know him, Paul Jolovitz?
2 words, nothing else.
I got to know him very, very well. And he is one of the nicest, classiest, most reasonable people I've ever met. It just doesn't seem within. I'm not saying anything. I don't know.
I think it's personal with him. I mean, he feels like he's been
But he's a great linebacker, and he's a great guy.
Yeah.
He's the last man standing, last holdout in the NFL. We'll talk about the game tonight. We'll talk about the game next week. Some observations around the NFL in Week 1 as the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff continues from the Great American Pub in Conshohocken. Stay with us, folks.
Since 1991, the Great American Pub in Conshohocken has been offering an authentic and memorable experience for guests looking to dine in or enjoy the bar and nightlife. Located at 123 Fayette Street in Conshohocken, the Great American Pub has all your craft beer selections and some of the best food options anywhere. While you're there trying their buffalo chicken spring rolls or Maryland crab cakes, enjoy your favorite sporting events on their numerous televisions surrounding the bar. Visit them at 123 Fayette Street in Conshohocken or learn more online at thegreatamericanpub.com. A truly unique dining experience awaits you at Fogo de Chão. Fogo de Chão awes patrons with their history and tradition of authentic Brazilian steakhouse, offering many cuts of decadent fire-roasted meats prepared over an open fire and served tableside by trained gaucho chefs. Fogo de Chão, 1337 Chestnut Street in Center City, Philadelphia. For reservations, go to www.fogo.com or call 215-636-9700.
At Independence Blue Cross, we take care of the people who take care of you. Everyday heroes like firefighters, police officers, teachers, farmers, and healthcare workers. Doctors and hospitals across the region have IBX, and they know what it means to have reliable access to care. So whether you're saving lives or just trying to live a healthier life, count on IBX, the region's #1 health insurer for 85 years. Learn more at IBX.com.
Since 1991, the Great American Pub in Conshohocken has been offering an authentic and memorable experience for guests looking to dine in or enjoy the bar and nightlife. Located at 123 Fayette Street in Conshohocken, the Great American Pub has all your craft beer selections and some of the best food options anywhere. While you're there trying their buffalo chicken spring rolls or Maryland crab cakes, enjoy your favorite sporting events on their numerous televisions surrounding the bar. Visit them at 123 Fayette Street in Conshohocken or learn more online at thegreatamericanpub.com.
We now return to the Great American Pub in Conshohocken for the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show. Once again, here are your hosts, Paul Domowitch and Paul Jolovitz.
Alrighty, back at the Great American Pub in Conshohocken, the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff. Got great people here. We have Merrill Reese, my co-host Paul Domowitch. Yesterday, obviously the Eagles played Friday. The Ravens and the Chiefs started off Thursday, and then week one yesterday. Let's massage the lead a little bit and talk about Deshaun Watson, Damo, who didn't exactly do much for his reputation. $231 million guaranteed. Got destroyed by the Cowboys. Another lawsuit today. Shocking. Is he one of the big losers of week one?
Yeah, I mean, right now, the quarterbacks they've had with play for the Browns since they signed him
20 of them
have much better numbers than Deshaun Watson has had. He'll get better, I guess. I don't, I mean, I thought he was.
Yeah, it's week one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy to jump on and say he was terrible, and I said that. He was terrible yesterday. But then, his dad died 4 days ago, too.
Really?
Did not know that.
Yeah, his dad died 4 days ago.
Oh.
And he was away from the facility.
Yeah.
And that could have something to do with it, too. So
That's fair.
I wouldn't judge yesterday's performance and say that's what's going on forward. And the Browns are a pretty good team.
Yeah.
So let's not go overboard on one game.
Fair enough. A lot of stuff happened yesterday. A lot of injuries. A couple surprise wins. Carolina was awful. Each one of you guys, Damo, you first. My biggest takeaway from week one was?
Well, I'm not going to say Carolina. It stinks because they always do. The Cowboys. I mean, we just talked about Cleveland, but I didn't expect Dallas to play as well as they did against Cleveland. Defensively, I mean, Mike Zimmer's got that defense looking really good. They're offensively, the Dak Prescott, after signing that contract, turned in a real good game.
And he's got Parsons all over the place, too.
Yeah, I mean, I was skeptical that they were going to give the Eagles a run for their money this year. And again, it's 1 week, but they look like a team that is potentially going to be right there till the end.
Merrill, yours?
Well, I could talk about the Eagles and the fact that I'm pleased that they won the first game, and there were a lot of very good things and some things to clean up. But I'll stay away from the Eagles, and I will make a statement, and that is the best game of the day was Detroit and the Rams, and both of them are going to be contenders deep into the season.
Yep.
Yeah, they're both going to be very good. Puka Nacua got hurt. He's on injured reserve, could be out a few weeks. Both very good teams are going to challenge the Eagles in the NFC.
What a great game that was.
It was a tremendous
I loved, a game that from Thursday night, Andy's Chiefs. I loved it. Before the game, Rodney Harrison, who, things come out of him that, you question sometimes. He says Xavier Worthy, he's not going to add much to that team. He says too small.
Too small. He's the fastest man in football.
So is Tyreek Hill.
And scores 2 touchdowns in that game against Baltimore.
Merrill, a lot of stuff happened yesterday, of course, and Dallas we talk about, and a lot of other teams. With the Eagles, going back to the team you didn't want to talk about, obviously we want to talk about them. You're a big Penn State guy. Jahan Dotson, obviously first game. The offense didn't play at all.
Jahan Dotson is going to play a major role in this offense because they're going to concentrate so much on A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith that Jahan Dotson, who is a wonderful tracker of the football and has great speed, is going to make some impactful plays.
Tom, what Eagle didn't show much in game one? They're expecting a lot more from against Atlanta.
Well, continuing on what he was saying, I was a little bit surprised that Johnny Wilson played as many snaps as he did.
Yeah, he got a few.
They were rotating him and Dotson at that third wide receiver spot, and I think it's Wilson. I'm going to be interested in seeing.
And if he doesn't do well, they could trade him to the Sixers.
Yeah.
And Daryl Morey would make that deal too. Trust me.
He's 6'8".
Yep.
As far as somebody that didn't play particularly well, and that you think I should.
Bryce Huff?
I don't know, because I don't know what he is. I still don't know that. I mean, if they made him, if there's a mistake that they made in free agency, that could be it. I'm not saying it is. Vic Fangio has made it clear during the summer that, they hope this guy can be an every down player, but they didn't know. And then right now, one game into the season, they still don't know that. So who do I expect more? I think Cooper DeJean, as he gets comfortable with this defense, stays healthy, he's going to play more snaps, and I think he's going to have an impact as their slot guy.
I also think that young Trot is going to prove to be a steal as a fifth-round draft pick.
Yeah.
Special teams to start with, but he'll work his way into the linebacker spot. The Eagles, of course, play Atlanta next week, home opener Monday Night Football. We'll be here Tuesday night, the 17th, with Mike Reichenbach, not next Monday night. Kirk Cousins comes in. The Falcons come in with a pretty good team. But, Merrill, there are a lot of rookie quarterbacks around the league yesterday, and Michael Penix, we talked about it a little bit earlier. When do you think he takes over? You think Kirk Cousins is a 2-year guy?
Don't know. I would not expect that he'll wait any more than a year.
Yeah.
I would think you can't afford to let a guy who was drafted in the first round sit for more than a year. Although Green Bay did, but they did with Jordan Love, but they had the best in the game at that point.
Well, your first year with the Eagles, Michael Penix was a freshman at Washington. He's been around a long time.
Well, you know who else is going to be pretty good? Bo Nix.
Yeah.
Bo Nix is going to be pretty good. And the other one who I saw during the summer who will be a good, eventually Jacoby Brissett will sit, and it will be Drake Maytime, and I think he's pretty good.
I think Penix is in a good situation because
good skill position.
If Kirk Cousins can stay healthy, there's no hurry to put Penix out there. They have a good running game, it wasn't great Sunday, but I think it will. With Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier. They're going to be a challenge to the Eagles next
That would
Monday
be
night.
7 and 25, by the way. I'm already working.
Got the numbers already?
Yep.
Your wife, tell me about how your wife Cindy works through the numbers.
She has the flashcards during the week.
Yeah.
And
she'll surprise you at any time, right?
At any time.
But the two of them. The one thing that kind of concerned me about the defense yesterday was they gave up some big chunk runs.
And you know what Nick said? One point of emphasis this week is going to be tackling.
Yeah.
Because the tackling was unacceptably sloppy.
But when he says point of emphasis, you're playing tackle football. What does that mean, the point of emphasis is tackling? It's point of emphasis every week.
They don't get a chance to tackle.
They don't tackle during the preseason.
Yeah.
They rarely tackle to the ground at camp.
Which is one reason why these guys should be playing a little. Vic played his guys more than the.
Yeah, Vic did.
I know that on one level, but to me, when a team is playing in the NFL, do your practice however you like. The Eagles had trouble last year tackling. If the coach has to say tackling is a point of emphasis, that in itself is a problem to begin with, isn't it?
No, I don't think so, because what you see a lot of these guys do, and there are coaches that emphasize it, is punching the ball out.
Yeah.
Working on focusing on the turnovers, and at the cost of these guys missing tackles.
Paul, I'd much rather hear Nick say today the tackling has got to be a point of emphasis. Yeah. Or that I'd rather him say that than I'm not concerned about the tackling.
True.
Exactly.
All right, guys, we only got a couple minutes now. We'll talk about the Eagles game at the end, but Monday night tonight, and Rodgers comes back. Hopefully he'll play longer than he did last year. Hassan Reddick's not there. Jets in San Francisco. What are you looking for, Merrill?
I would love to see the Jets give the 49ers a loss. And I can't wait to see Aaron Rodgers. By the way, Paul, Damo, I heard that his biography is very, very good. There's a biography out, a new one, on Aaron Rodgers, and it's getting great reviews.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about it.
Called I Hosted Jeopardy.
No, it's not called that.
Damo, what are you thinking about next week?
Like I said, I think they need, when they play Atlanta, they've got to focus on stopping that run. If they do, it's a game they should win. They need. Ideally, I mean, they need to sweep these 3 NFC South games.
Yep.
Will they? I don't know. New Orleans looked pretty good yesterday, but I don't think that's an indication of how good or bad they are.
Merrill, this could be a tough game. Everybody talks about maybe being a speed bump. Atlanta traditionally stinks. New coach this year, but they got a good, young tight end, a good back, a good offensive line. A lot of people thought they were a quarterback away. This Atlanta team could be pretty tough, couldn't they?
It could be tough. It could be tough. If the Eagles think it's going to be easy, they'll lose. But I don't think the Eagles will take it lightly.
Yeah.
It's the home opener. This is a good Eagles team, and I think Jalen Hurts is going to have a big, big night.
Yeah.
Good. You like Monday Night Football, Domo? You like late games?
Love them. Didn't love to cover them, but because of the deadlines. But
I love them as long as they're home and I don't have to fly home afterwards.
You didn't have to fly to Brazil this week, huh? Shh. All right. A secret we'll keep between us. We have had an absolutely unbelievable time. For years, I've wanted to have Merrill on this show, and he had his own show, of course.
having you.
The Pro Football
Thank
Report.
you, Domo.
You want to pump your show, the Pro Football Report, at all?
No.
Okay. Then we will just say thank you so much to Merrill Reese.
My Pro Football Hall of Fame is tomorrow night, and it comes from another place in Malvern, and our guest is Mike Mayock.
Nice.
all right.
Enjoy Mike Mayock, Merrill's Pro Football
Tell
Report.
Mike I said hello.
I will.
We'll be here every Monday night, Tuesday next week. Hall of Famer Merrill Reese, we say thank you so much for being here.
Oh, and my co-host is Dave Spadaro.
Dave Spadaro. Okay.
Can't have everything.
Love to have you back sometime, Merrill. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks.
My pleasure, guys.
Damo, thanks. Maiden voyage this year. It's easy with Merrill. Let's do it again next
You
week.
betcha.
All right, Eagles 1-0. Go against Atlanta next week. We'll be back here at the Great American Public Conshohocken, 6 o'clock next Tuesday. For Merrill Reese, for Paul Domowitch, I'm Paul Jolovitz. For the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff.